Whew. And here we go. Welcome back. My name's Travis Rogers. Thanks again for tuning in. Today's the big question, the most important question, the most controversial question. Should you, as a DJ, accept a free gig? We're going to go through the pros and cons. I don't think there's an answer that's as easy as a yes or no, but I'll kind of dive into each. And for full transparency on my end, we always pay DJs, even at the lowest level, even if the fee isn't always the most exciting. We always believe that if you're doing work, you should get paid for it. And the only exemption I ever had from that was 2019. I did my first music festival. We kind of went into the thing. We went into the event knowing no matter what, we're losing money. And just to give you an example, like most festivals, and you can watch documentaries on them. They'll lose money anywhere between 3, 7, 10 years before they hit this moment where the brand is strong enough where it's selling out every time, and it's also so strong that the sponsors that are there, and they've really just nailed down the inner workings of maximizing layouts and things like that. But that's a deeper conversation for another topic. But that was the only time. We had about it was a long festival day. I didn't want any of my main headliners on till around sunset, but we were paying for the venue, so it made sense to open at noon. And we had all these set times, and I had two scenarios in front of me. One was I could have put 2 to 3 DJs at each stage. There was 4 stages, paid each of them, and they would have played long sets, and it would have been great. Or I was like, I can give everybody a 1 hour set. Can't afford to pay everybody, but for their perspective, they get their name on this massive event, aligned with all these other big headliners. It's a bit of a bragging right move. It's a bit of I'm going to use this flyer and this association with this event to go get myself other gigs, and that was kind of the tangible exchange. And I went to each DJ kind of like, hey, this is what we're doing. We're losing money. I would love to have you a part of it. You've done stuff with me for years. Um, can't afford to pay you on this one. If you can't do it because of the money thing, I will hold nothing against you. You'll still continue to play with me with other stuff. But I at least wanted to present the opportunity and let you decide what you want to do. And I think that is the healthy approach at handling that conversation. With that being said, on regular stuff, club things, I mean, if I'm making money, the venue's making money, in my opinion, everybody should get paid for their time. And I guess I would say maybe and one more exemption to that is if we did an event and it was just a complete bloodbath, and maybe I'm just trying to minimize the losses, I'll probably go to every vendor involved. I'll go to every person involved and see who may be willing to work with me to maybe in some cases offer a free service, a reduced cost service. All with that being said, like, hey, help me out this time. I do a lot in the market, and I'll make it up to you in the future. Or on the next one where we win big, I'll give you a I'll give you a little extra to make up for this loss. Next, I think it's important to understand where you're at in your career before making these decisions. Every decision you make, by the way, for your career should have a pro and con. Weigh out all those things. Do the pros outweigh the con, right? I'm sorry, I'm gonna have some water. And then it's also about positioning yourself to be in a more lucky scenario, minimizing your mistakes, stuff like that. We often all talk about, I mean, there's a lot of luck in this industry on why people make it. And sometimes the most talented people just never fall into that lucky moment or opportunity. And because of that, all that talent in the world kind of goes unheard. And to kind of change that, it's like be at you ever hear that saying, right time, right place, right? So And in order for that saying to make any sense, you need to be at that place at that right time. And since you never know when that's going to be, you kind of want to be out as much as you can. You want to socialize as much as you can. Socializing's a word I feel like I've said 100 times over these last 3 videos, but it's very important. And yeah, if you want that lucky moment, if you want that, you need to be at places, whether it's just being there in support or being there and involved. And I guess if there's a case where an amazing opportunity comes up and it's free, you might want to consider it if it has an upside benefit to your career, right? And there's going to be a variety of different gigs in your career. Some are going to be just like, hey, this is a gig to pay the bills. This is a gig that might put me in front of the right people and lead to more opportunities. This is a gig that's just a dream gig and I want to do that gig. And there could be other versions of that too, but based on whichever one of those lanes that gig falls into might might um might lean you one way or another from accepting a free or a cheaper paid gig versus this other gig that you're like, this gig is going to make zero impact on my career. Like no one in the world, none of the labels, none of the industry is paying attention to this specific city or market or venue. And because of that, I don't need it. And hopefully you're not in a position where you're desperate for money and you can be like, well, I'm not desperate for money right now. This gig isn't going to make or break my career. So if I'm going to do this gig, like I need to be compensated for it at a fair value, fair market value of what I'm worth. And maybe even slightly more than what I'm worth because there's no other tangible thing you're going to get out of this gig other than just playing and being in front of more fans and hopefully garnering more fans. Next, I think it's important to separate the art and the business. And I actually have a whole separate video on this that I'm going to go very deep. So I'm not going to do that in this exact conversation. But I think it's very important to understand that in this conversation, there's 2 lanes. One lane is art, one lane is business. They can both complement each other. A lot of people believe that the business side ruins the art side, and it doesn't have to. I think there's a ton of examples of large artists that are making the money they want to make, doing the exact sound and art that they wanted to do. And they could have gone a little bit different way and maybe make more money per gig, make more money per record deal, whatever that is. And if that's what you want to do, then yeah, you might need to sacrifice some art at times, but you don't have to. And you can do the exact art you want to do if you're passionate about it, if it's good, if you execute it correctly, if you present it correctly, and then you understand the business side of it so you can maximize the value of maybe that niche art that you want to do. So, next, let's talk. I think before deciding whether you're going to do a free gig or not, or a low paid gig or not, I think there's some important questions you should ask yourself internally before making that decision. And never ever make a rash decision. If you're unsure of the decision or immediately your heart wants to go to no, take a breather, take a pause, write the person, be like, hey, this is cool. Give me till tomorrow on this. Let me, even if you don't have a team, be like, let me talk to the team. If you have a team, obviously talk to your team. They're all going to have their opinions and you weigh it all out and you come to the best, healthiest, smartest conclusion that's most beneficial for your career. So these are the couple questions I would ask myself, or I would tell my artists to ask themselves, or I would ask them directly, which is, one, is it a well-known venue? Two, are the promoters reputable? Like, do they have a good history of of being good people, paying on time, having great events? Like, those are sub questions to that one question. But are they reputable promoters? Will the room be busy? Can this gig lead to other opportunities? Is it a request from an admired artist or label? Maybe so and so artist reaches out like, hey, I want to put you on this event. I've already burned the budget, but I really love what you're doing. Get on. It's going to be an opening slot. Like it's gonna be in a new market for you, and it's gonna be a cool gig. Get yourself out here and be a part of it. And I wouldn't turn that down because that gig could lead to more gigs. Aligning yourself with artists that are much higher than you is only going to open more doors. It puts you next to them, and then the people that are watching that artist go, well, who's this other person that this big artist is supporting, right? Is it a big festival? And that kind of goes back to the thing I was talking about was with my festival, right? And then, will important industry people be there? And, if they will, maybe playing that free gig where a ton of label A&Rs, a ton of other promoters, a ton of record execs, a ton of um, different event owners and venue owners and promoters. And I'm probably repeating myself now, but if there's important people there, maybe playing that free gig will lead to another. Like I had an artist once in Ibiza got invited to play some random villa party. There was no fee, but they asked them to come, and two major promoters from two festivals in markets we had never even done or considered doing were there, fell in love with him, kept blowing him up, and the next year they invited us to play their festival, and it was amazing. I flew out with them, met them, and we had a great time. Um, so I would say, like, when it comes to any of those questions, and there might be a few things I've neglected there that also could be equally important. But if it's one of these like very opportunistic moments, then I mean, is sacrificing the opportunity to be in front of a platform where more opportunities could come out of it because of a couple $100 worth it? Probably not. Now, with that being said, if they're none of these things, if there's some random promoter with a low reputation, if there's some mediocre venue, or if the venue's just always known to be empty, or there's going to be no one important there, or pretty much the opposite of those 7 questions or 8 questions that I said mentioned, um, I would say get the money or pass on it, right? Um, Next, the decision making criteria, right? So, even though I said if it's the opposite to all those questions, you should probably say no and pass on those gigs because there's no opportunistic value in it. At the same time, there's an anomaly to that rule, which is if you have zero going on, you're strictly a bedroom DJ, you're a producer, you're going out and socializing, and nothing's translating, then yeah, maybe doing a couple free shitty gigs is better than doing nothing. I always tell people like something is better than doing nothing. When people tell me, "Oh, I'm not ready to release music yet because I want to sack up more music," I'm like, "Well, I would put out what you have because something is better than nothing." And sometimes they think it's not good enough, and I'm like, "Yeah, but put it out because something is still better than nothing." And now you have a bar you've set, and it's easy to beat that bar, right? If it's not that good, then you can only go up from there. If the first thing you put out is a hit, now your bar is so high, the pressure will be insane. So don't get inside your head. Don't let um don't let a couple bucks get in the way of an opportunity. With that being said, also don't let yourself taken advantage of. I say all this, and I'll say every promoter out there should be paying. We are making money most of the time. I mean, we also lose a lot of money as a promoter, but these are the risks we take. And I believe you should pay your artists. And if you're in a if you get put in a bad scenario where you really bled out financially on an event as a promoter, call each of these people and work it out with them. Reduce the fee, ask them to play for free, offer them a makeup date with extra money. To me, I'm a big believer like over communication will solve every one of your problems. What you shouldn't do as a promoter is promise people money, you can't pay them, and then you dodge their phone calls and texts. Destroys your reputation. Just get on the phone, be a man, or be a woman, and deal with the problem, address it, and have that conversation, and you will have a long future in this business. Um, And then let me see. And then I'm just going to say that's pretty much everything related to this topic. I mean, I think that's a really good baseline of the pros and cons to the free gigs or not taking the free gigs. And I'm just going to end it with a personal story. I was working at Space early years, started 2007, but I want to say this was like around 2009 or 10. I was working in the marketing office doing some social media stuff. Became really good friends with Luis Diaz, the talent buyer. One night he comes up to me and goes, "Hey man, I might have messed up the booking, the set times." I don't know if he said I messed it up, but he said, essentially, "Hey, the set times are like dead in link, and I have so and so going on the terrace at 3 a.m. and the techno artist we booked in the loft is also going on at 3 a.m. They're arriving at the same time." He's like, "Would you mind just grabbing the artist from the techno room, meet him at the door, bring him to the booth, tell the waitress to set up his hospitality rider. There's a tech in the booth. He can help out with any technical issues and just babysit it for me while I deal with the terrace thing." And I was just young and excited to be involved. And I was like, "Yeah, sure." And I didn't even ask if there was a pay, nothing. To me, it was just like, what? I get to work with DJs? This is awesome. These are the DJs I've been looking up to from the dance floor for years. Now I get to actually be side by side, have a conversation with them, hang out with them, all that. And it went really well. And then the next week, even though the set times didn't line up the same way, he kind of said like, "Hey, you want to help me out again?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure." And then it just kept happening every week. To me, it was just a fun thing. The truth is, I was already getting paid for my other role, which I thought was solid money at the time. I had never made great money in my life at that point, and it was just a cool, fun thing for me to do. Hang out with these people that I aspired and looked up to for so many years. And this went on for a lot of months, and then space got sold to the second owners. For most of you that don't know the story, there's been three sets of owners. The original Louis Puig, the second set of owners, they weren't the best, and then the third set of owners, the current ownership, who's doing a phenomenal job. And when the second set of owners came and acquired the place, they also had a few other clubs, some EDM venues, some hip hop venues. They had like 5 or 6 places. They asked Luis Diaz, "Hey, we want you to talent buy for all the venues, you know?" And he told them essentially the only way I could do this is if I have help. So I need like an assistant talent buyer. And they're like, "Yeah, sure, hire whoever you want." And naturally, since I had been helping them for every weekend, kind of on an artist relations level, and helping them during like the big weeks, like Miami Music Week, he was like, "Travis is the perfect person for this job." And now I just landed a paid job doing this exact thing I wanted to do. And in that next 2 years working side by side with him, who's to this day one of the best talent buyers ever, I learned everything. And all that was the foundation to me being able to launch Humans Alike shortly after, go off on my own and do my own venues and my own projects, and book pretty much every DJ, big or small. And it's been a phenomenal chapter. So this is just a good example of me not going, "Well, I'm not getting paid. I'm not going to do this thing." And maybe had I asked him for money, he would have paid me. But maybe he would have been like, "It's fine. I'll find somebody else." And I would have lost that opportunity, which would have then lost the opportunity for the paid gig later, which would have been maybe not have had the foundation to start or the confidence to start Humans Alike. And today I might be in a completely different place. So I just wanted to end the story with that. Like, take opportunities, free or not free. I believe later when everything does work out for you and you are in the career path you want to be and you're making the money you want to be, you're really not going to cry over those lost couple dollars. So yeah, that's pretty much it on this topic. I hope it helps. If you disagree with something, leave it in the comments. If you find this information helpful, leave it in the comments. Subscribe, like the video, it really helps. Share it with your friends, also really helps. I'm going to keep making more stuff. If you have topics that you want me to cover, also shoot it in the comments. DM me, all that kind of stuff. I'm pretty easy. Usually I'm pretty easy to get a hold of. And then take care. Good luck. I really hope this helps some of you. Please, months from now, like, shoot me over a message or let me know how things are working out. Take care, and I'll see you in the next video.